President Trump, I mean, he pushed this hard, okay? This 21st Century Road to Housing Act. And this was, a lot of this were, I mean, not his novel ideas, but ideas he branded as his own, brought to the forefront, got him in front of Congress to, be a possibility. And he was really championing this bill. Okay. So the 21st Century Road to Housing Act is a bill that did end up getting passed by Congress. Now listen to these numbers. Okay. 358 to 32 in the House. Have you heard of anything like that recently in U.S. politics?
It's a beautiful thing in the world where we live in, where it seems harder than ever for folks to agree. I love to see them coming together on housing. I'm gonna tear up over here. It's so beautiful.
358 to 32 in the House. You'd never hear numbers like that. Guess what? In the Senate, it was 85 to 5. So these are just blowouts. Okay,
overwhelming support.
Overwhelming support. Blowouts of the both sides, Democrats and Republicans, coming together. Okay, so
here's a fun fact: the vote, the 358 to 32. I just did a quick search. Only 3 other acts have had a larger victory, we'll call it, right?
All right.
The Social Security Act of 1935, the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and the Affordable Health Care Act in 2010.
Wow.
So only 3 times in history.
So when you look at it, it's like, okay, this only, to Chaz's point, only 3 bills have been more bipartisan than this one. So this is a historical bipartisan package. It's a package that the president pushed for, branded as a lot of his ideas. You know how he loves branding ideas to be his, yet he's refusing to sign it. So we'll get to that. What's in the bill? So one of the headlines that you've probably heard in the bill is this limits how many homes big investors can own. So large institutional investors that already have bought in single-family homes, more than 350, they will be blocked from buying more single-family houses. The section there is titled "Homes Are for People, Not Corporations." So that's been the, I'll say the sexiest part of the bill to common people, whether, you've had both sides of the aisle push for this for a while. Corporations shouldn't be allowed to buy single-family homes. Now, I actually that's probably the thing in the bill that I feel the least passionate about. There's stuff I like in this bill a lot more than that. That doesn't make a big difference in the world for a variety of reasons that we've gotten into in the past, and we can get into again if we wanted to. But the one I like the most inside of this bill is the second major initiative is it makes it easier to build. The bill cuts some federal regulations, adds grant funding and pilot programs for new construction, and lets local governments speed up the approval process. The goal is more homes and lower costs for buyers. So if your local government has a brain, they're going to be able to speed up dramatically. Now, debatable when you start to look at some of our local governments. And so, the federal government's like, we're going to release all the red tape here. But if your federal government is a bozo, that's still probably going to be a problem for you. We can't come solve for your local government wanting to pretend it's still 1976. Okay. National Housing Conference, President and CEO of the National Housing Conference, David Dworkin. What a great last name. he said no bill is perfect, but it's a step in the right direction for affordable housing. The House's package of the Housing Act makes a major milestone in the effort to address America's housing challenges. With both the House and Senate now having approved the legislation, the bill is on its way to the president's desk. This achievement reflects years of hard work by housing advocates, industry leaders, community organizations, and policymakers from both parties who recognize the urgent need for action. This is going to help communities across the country build more housing, improve access to affordable homes, and strengthen the federal tools needed to address the nation's housing affordability crisis. And so President Trump and the administration had a news conference and signing ceremony scheduled for Wednesday, at the White House. And Trump that morning posted on Truth Social, today's housing news conference and signing is hereby canceled until such time as we pass the desperately needed Save America Act, which I consider to be a national emergency. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President DJT. That's the full Truth tweet or Truth post, so I didn't misquote anything. So politics are at play here. All of the ideas in this bill, Trump has tried to brand as his own, and some of them he really did push, I think, into the attention of Congress at times during the first half of this year. And now that he knows, both sides of the aisle want this thing as much as I do, and everybody wants it. The American people want it. The president wants it, based on his past statements. Overwhelming majority of Congress wants it, but he's going to hold it up to try to bargain to get, obviously, something else that he wants. So housing just kind of dangling out there as a leverage point. What are you guys' thoughts on really where we're at? I think this will ultimately get signed. This is politics at its best or worst.
Yeah,
we were talking about it before the show. I had to dust off my 6th grade social studies textbook. I remember that old video from like the 70s, that cartoon of how a bill becomes a law.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I'm pretty sure if you got 2/3 vote, you can override a veto. So, and that is true. So if the president formally I had to look this up. If the president formally vetoes the bill, then the Congress can override it with 2/3 vote in both chambers, which, based on the number of people that voted for the bill, it looks like they very likely could have the votes. But he hasn't formally vetoed it. I think he's basically just using this as an opportunity to say, hey, I want to push my other legislation. It says
he's letting it sit on his. He's letting it sit on his desk. You've seen past presidents do this. You don't have to veto it. You can just let it sit on your desk, and I'll get to that.
Well, no, there's an interesting stat that as long as Congress stays in session, if he does nothing for 10 days, it automatically gets passed, right? But if they don't stay in session, it automatically gets debunked.
Yes, I guess that becomes what they call pocket veto. So I think it's going to pass in law. I mean, I think it's got all good stuff in it. And I think he's just letting it, he's using it as an opportunity to get some attention for his other legislation. But I think it's gonna happen. I did want to comment on some of the local zoning. I saw, there was, I was reading one article, and I almost wonder if the congressmen are watching Connecticut Real Estate Radio every Saturday from 11 to 12, because it seems like a lot of the stuff Byron's always talking about is in the bill. But because Congress can't rewrite the local housing zones, the bill relies on incentives rather than mandates. So I think we might see, the towns want federal money. They want the grants. So if they're redoing a bridge or the roads or the sidewalks in their town, they're like, hey, can we get some of this federal money? I think we could see a situation where, some of the grants and the federal money is like, hey, well, how are you doing? Are you really encouraging the, construction of townhomes and duplexes and fourplexes and accessory dwelling units? Are you encouraging affordable housing in your town? What are you doing to increase your housing? Might be a factor. So I think there's some great stuff in this bill.
Yeah, federal. That's one of the things I've been passionate about. Federal money should not flow to the towns and the states that aren't creative, innovative. If you want to be stuck in 1976, 50 years ago, if that's the life you want to live, then go isolate yourself somewhere far away from the rest of us. But if you want to push forward, innovate, create opportunity, we're here on this land for the last 250 years to create opportunity, to work for a brighter future, to make something and a bigger opportunity for us and for somebody else. If you don't want that, go isolate yourself somewhere, but you shouldn't get federal money to do it.